Good evening. Welcome all of you to this session of Savitri summarization. Here in this topic, we are going to discuss today a new creation from the old shall rise. This is a brilliant topic and it has been taken from Book 3, Canto 3 of Savitri, The House of the Spirit and the New Creation. The brilliant topic we are going to discuss right now, that is about the new creation. Already we have known Sri Aurobindo quotes, the new creation and transformation is the work of the mother. So here in the process of our Savitri summarization, while discussing the Canto Book 3, Canto 3, it is on the house of the spirit and the new creation. And of course on new creation we have seen Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully, a new creation from the old shall rise. A new creation from the old shall rise. A knowledge inarticulate find speech. That is very brilliant. Beauty suppressed burst into paradise bloom. Beauty already suppressed, that will burst into paradise bloom. Pleasure and pain dive into absolute bliss. A tongueless oracle shall speak at last. The superconscient conscious grow on earth. The eternals wonders join the dance of time. But now all seemed a vainly seeming vast, upheld by a deluded energy. So this about the new creation, house of the spirit and the new creation. This is the two parts. Of course, initially we will find the house of the spirit. Later in the process of discussion, we will go, or rather, we will venture into the process of new creation. That is still interesting. So it will be very much packed with emphasis. So let us go for of course in gist, of course in we'll see in the precise manner it is a summarization, and as our name indicates, we'll have to go for the couple of lines from here. A mightier task remained than all he had done. A mightier task remained than what all he had done. To that he turned from which his being all being comes. To that he turned from which all being comes. Then, after sometimes we can find in the unapproachable stillness of the soul. Unapproachable stillness of the soul, intense, one-pointed, monumental, lone. In the unapproachable stillness of his soul, we find intense, one-pointed, monumental, lone. Patient, he sat like an incarnate hope, motionless on a pedestal of prayer. Strength he sought that was not yet on earth. Help from a power too great for mortal will. The light of a truth now only seen afar. So it is nothing is available here in this earthly premises, earthly atmosphere. Everything what he seeks, he wants, or he yearns is everything from the outside, from the height, a sanction from his high omnipotent source. That is what later after some time we can find still in the course, a shadowy unity with a vanished past treasured in an old world frame was lurking there. Again we find beautifully in the latter part of discussion we can go deeply a little bit inside here. This now he will to discover and exile. This now he will to discover and exile the element in him betraying God. All nature's recondite spaces were stripped bare. All nature's recondite spaces were stripped bare. All her dim crypts and corners searched for fires where refuge instincts and unsaved revolts could shelter find in darkness sanctuary against the white purity of heaven's cleansing flame. Just imagine how great description, because it is the house of the spirit. Initially, we'll find about the spirit, about the house of the spirit, and then the latter part in this canto will go for the new creation. For the still in the quotes here, for the inconscient who is infinity, the more its abysses we insist to sound, the more it stretches endlessly. Again, he tore desire off from its bleeding roots and offered to the gods the vacant place. Thus could he bear the touch immaculate. So touch immaculate he could bear. A last and mightiest transformation came. Just imagine here in the coast. We don't know. We will till we are hoping for a transformation, but here in case of Asapati or Sri Aurobindo, last and mightiest transformation came. His soul was all in front like a great sea, flooding the mind and body with its waves. His being spread to embrace the universe, united the within and the without, to make of life a cosmic harmony, an empire of the immanent divine. So this is the transformation, this is the alchemy working, and he is on the way of transformation. Again, what is the real change here? He felt the joy of others as his joy. He bore the grief of others as his grief. His universal sympathy upbore, immense like ocean, the creation's Lord. As earth upbears all beings sacrifice. This immense, this greatness, this bearing capacity he is bearing. So again, there was no divisions, endless quarrel, no division, no gulf, no breakage. One grew the spirit's secret unity, all nature felt again the single bliss. There was no cleavage between soul and soul, there was no barrier between world and God. Everything was unity, unified and unconscious. Overpowered were form and memory's limiting line. The covering mind was seized and torn apart. It was dissolved and now no more could be. The one consciousness that the mold made the world was seen, all now was luminosity and force. Again, we'll feel his seeking mind seized in the truth that knows. Seeking mind seized in the truth that knows. His life was a flow of the universal life. He stood fulfilled on the world's highest line, awaiting the ascent beyond the world. Standing fulfilled on the world's highest line, awaiting the ascent beyond the world, awaiting the descent of the world to safe. So, this brilliant quotation and brilliant line, of course, in the here towards the end, we can see. Life in its members lay down vast and mute, naked, unwalled, unterrified it bore the immense regard of immortality. It bore the immense regard of immortality. Then again, a last moment dialed and all at once grew still. A weight was that was the unseen transcendence hand laid upon his limbs, the spirit's measureless seal. Infinity swallowed him into soreless trance. So this was the change, this was the transformation, this was the unification. Everything is as clearly defined and described by the Lord. So let us go a little bit deep within hearing the process of this description. We'll have the summarization part. The house of the spirit and of course the new creation. Asapati now turns to the source of all being, turns to the source of all being. In the utter silence of his soul, he aspires for the strength that is not on the earth, aspires for the strength that is not on the of the earth. The light of the truth still beyond the light, the soul, the again the strength in the silence is asking for strength and light from beyond. So he meets no response. He feels the resistance. No response feels the resistance of the inconscient base, and the negation lurking in the even is in himself. That negation, that resistance is still there. He is not able to find it. Old claims persist. So again, he spots these events and tears them from their roots. So this resistance, everything is there. Actually, he tears from the root. That is what we have seen. Now, a great and last transformation, already seen a last and mightiest transformation, great and last transformation came over him. His soul spreads out like a sea, embraces the universe in its unity. Again, He becomes one with all the soul and nature. There is no more division. Already we have seen, we have read it. No more division. Human separative formula is transcended. It is changed. Nothing. It has in the process of transformation. No cleavage, no breakage, no gulf, no division. Nothing is there. He wears the higher descent to save the world. Higher descent to save the world. His senses fail. Life motive movements cease, and actually he is swallowed in the trance of the infinity. Already we have seen. So this is the scenario we come across again and again. Again, voyaging through the vast of light, voyaging through the vast of light, he reaches the semi-eternal base. Through the vast of light, he is reaching his semi-eternal base, where all is still, untouched by the pool of the nature. So this is the thing he is finding. The world machinery casts no shadow. There is no shadow. Everything is actually untouched by the pool of nature, still untouched. Again, there is actually, you can find only omnipotent and omniscient. That is the true there. The guardians of the truth law is there. Conscient nature and the witness soul are poised in the perpetual calm. Ashwapati is alone with one. That only alone with one, because till now everything is calm, quiet, everything is only omniscience and omnipotence. He is alone with the one. He joins the sessions of the infinity. That is a great truth, great thing. All grew empty. There is a pregnant hush. A universal force awaits the final degree of the transcendent. So a universal force actually awaits for the final degree of the transcendent. Ashwapati looks down and becomes aware that the ocean of oneness, still then that oneness, no division, no cleavage like this. There is one self, based upon it only one mind and one life. We can see one mind and one life. That is very brilliant. A new creation arises from this oneness. Each of the creation is unique. Already we have seen each of this in this creation is unique and one with all. Oneness is not monotone, but actually it actually multifaceted. This oneness we can found here is the great creation Sri Aurobindo describes. Form reveals its inner truth. Struggle is a stripe of love. Struggle is a stripe of love. Then I can find difference and identity were mutually supporting. Then bliss is the undying truth of all. Then their nature is the conscious front of God. Wisdom works, that we can find the wisdom works securely everywhere. Then actually later we can find love and ecstasy are unbroken. In the creation, Ashwapati sees himself a portion of the universal self. You can find the portion of the universal self and center of the pervading light. He feels himself the life throb of the millions. That's what he's representing. So we'll try, just imagine how the description, brilliant description has been described by the master. So we are going to little bit deep down into, and in the process of the description we find so many things. Still in the course here beautifully, there is a stable force of all that moves. Just now we saw there is a stable force of all that moves. There is unique. There the unique laborer is at rest. There terms no kid creation in the void, no giant mechanism watched by the soul. There creaks no fate turned huge machinery. The marriage of evil with good within one breast. The marriage of evil with good within one breast. The clash of strife in the very clasp of love. The dangerous pain of life experiment in the values of the inconscient and the chance. Just now we have seen everything is transformed, everything in its upward turn moving away. Life steps a stumbling series without suit, its aspect of the fortuitous design. Again we can find there was no war of right with the rival right. There is no stumbling and half-seeing lives passing from chance to unexpected chance. Then no suffering of hearts compelled to beat in bodies of the inert inconscience make. So their nature on her throb spiritual touch, immutably transcendent knows her source. So we can find a mind too mighty to be bound by thought, A mind too mighty to be bound by a thought, a life too boundless for the play in space, a soul without borders, unconvinced of time. So this is the situation of mind, life, and body. All are in capital letter. He felt the extinction of the world's long pain. He became the unborn self of that never dies. He became the unborn self that never dies. He joined the sessions of the infinity. Again, we can find no voice came down from the high silences, none answered from her desolate solitudes. A stillness of cessation reigned, the wide immortal hush before the gods are born. Very important, before the gods are born, what is the situation? The wide immortal immortal hush, wide immortal hush, before the gods are born. A universal force awaited, mute, the veiled transcendence ultimate decree. So we can find later on, if we go on, we can find. Then suddenly there came a downward look. Very interesting. There came a downward look, as if a sea exploring its own depths. Beautiful image you can find, as if a sea exploring its own depths. A living oneness widened at its core and joined him to the unnumbered multitudes. A bliss, a light, a power, a flame white love cut all into a soul immense embrace. You have seen that beautiful in the calendar. You have got the message here. A bliss, a light, a power, a flame white love caught all into a soul immense embrace. Existence found its truth on one nest breast, and each became the self and the space of one. So, just imagine how the things change beautifully, how the great transformation comes. All mind was a single harp of many strings, all life a song of many meeting lives. For worlds were many, but the self was one. So this knowledge now was made a cosmos seed. So later we can find, while proceeding forward, because we know it is a summarization session, their oneness was not turned to monotone. It showed a thousand aspects of the self. Each lived for God and for in Him and God in all. Each soulness inexpressibly held the whole. So we can go. A wisdom worked in all, self-moved, self-pure, a plenitude of illimitable light and authenticity of intuitive truth, a glory and passion of creative force, ineffable, leaping the infinity. So later on, so we can see a single ecstasy, all turn to all without reserves recoil, a single ecstasy without a break. Love was a close and thrilled identity in the throbbing heart of all that luminous life. So a universal vision that unites, a sympathy of nerve replying to nerve. So just imagine how that will be spirit's house, and then that latter pattern we can find new creation, of course. His mind answered to countless communing minds. His words were syllables of the cosmos speech. His life a field of the vast cosmic star. He felt the footsteps of a million wheels moving in unison to a single goal. So he bore, coiling through his members as they passed, calm movements of interminable delight, the bliss of a myriads who are one. The rhythmic sentence you can find, the bliss of a myriads who are one. So later we will go to the next some description to summarize it, and then we will go for the next step of our this Sri Aurobindo's original writings. Let us so hope to summarize a little bit. Ashwapati looks down. Already we have seen this is the struggle and if everything is over. He sees a hierarchy of luminous planes. He saw a hierarchy of luminous planes, each unique in its kind. That plane Sri Aurobindo describes and of course explains. Each actually unique in its kind, attuned to the one truth. The one and the many are prefaced in the perfect harmony. Again, an all-creating bliss sees performs to manifest the divine truths. All creating bliss seeks for form. A vast truth consciousness takes up these forms. A vast truth consciousness takes up these forms and hues and releases them into the manifestation in time. The Divine Mother moves in the cosmic house, supporting with her gold god child. The Divine Mother, that is the great thing, the Divine Mother moves in the cosmic house, sporting with her God child. So, all powers that are incomplete and erring on the earth are complete and perfect. They are imperfect, incomplete and erring on earth are here complete and perfect. Mind, imagination, truth, power, life. Four things are there. Mind, imagination, truth, power, and life. All are at their optimum. Matter is the firm density of the spirit. Already we see. Matter is the firm density of the spirit. Substance is the harp of the self. Beauty, harmony, light, and bliss are in perpetual here. Beauty we can find for here. Beauty, harmony, light, and bliss are perpetual there. Against this glory there floats below another scheme. Its opposite, just opposite we can see. There is a world does not know the self and the spirit denied by matter. So three powers govern the course of the lower creation. Three forces that govern the course of the lower nature. And unknowing force. What are the three forces really? That's what is sketched. These three forces that govern the course of this lower condition, that is, number one is an unknowing force at the beginning, again an emergent soul in the middle, and in the final, in the end, a spirit withdrawn from life. The three things are there that govern the course of the lower nature. Number one is unknowing force in the beginning, and emergent soul in the middle, and in the final, a spirit withdrawn from life. So let us have a look into Sri Aurobindo's original quotings. I will try to quote few lines while coming for the description. That is because even if there is a beauty, that is not a beauty, that is a great beauty in his supramental creation here in this in the form of Savitri. So we'll try to quote it little bit. So Sri Aurobindo quotes it here. The spirit's white neutrality became. The spirit's white neutrality became a playground of miracles. A playground of miracles. Again, we can find a rendezvous for the secret powers of a mystic timelessness. It made of space a marble house of God. It poured through time the works of ageless might. Then we can find later here we are sporting with God as a mother with her child. The eternal goddess moved in her cosmic house, sporting with God as a mother with her child. His toys are the immortal varieties. Toys were the immortal varieties, all here self-lost, and they are the divine place. The powers that here betray our hearts and air, where they are sovereign in truth, perfect in joy. Already we have seen here everything erroneous, everything is ugly, but there it is perfect in charm and hue. Their mind, a splendid suns of visions rays. Again, we can find those glorious revelation revealed by Sri Aurobindo. The speech that voices the ineffable, the speech that voices the ineffable, the rays revealing unseen presences, the virgin forms through which the formless shines, the word that usurps divine experience, and the ideas that crowd the infinity. That is the great thing. Here what we find falsehood, ugly, erring, erroneous, everything is fulfilled and perfect there. A marriage, there is a harmony woven to soul and soul. So the will obeyed a thought and act the will. There was a harmony woven twist, soul and the soul. A marriage with eternity divinized time. Most of the times we quote this great line. A marriage with eternity divinized time. Their life pursued onward of her sport. Joy in her heart and laughter in her lips. Again we find already we have quoted about the new creation. So I'll try to quote it again. A new creation from the old shall rise. That already we have seen. We'll go. So here again we find the great lines. Untired of sameness and untired of change, endlessly she unrolled her moving act. a mystery drama of divine delight, a living poem of world ecstasy, a cake mono of significant forms, a coiled perspective of developing scenes, a brilliant chase of self-revealing steps, an ardent hunt of soul looking for soul, a seeking and a finding as of the gods. So, about matter and spirit, that relations here in the quotes beautifully. There, matter is the spirit's firm density. Matter is the spirit's firm density, and artistry of glad outwardness of self. Again, we find in the latter portion, in the towards, of course, we are proceeding towards the concluding section here. A net for the constant lightning of the spirit, a magnet of the powers of love's intensity, whose yearning throb and adoration's cry drew God's approach close, sweet, wonderful. So again, here in the course here, an architect hewing out self's living rock, an architect hewing out self's living rock, phenomenon built a reality summer house on the beaches of the sea of infinity. So we can find three powers govern the irrational course. In the beginning, just now we saw, in the beginning an unknowing force. In the middle, an embodied striving soul. In the end, a silent spirit denying life. Three powers he is finding. In the beginning, an unknowing force. In the middle, an embodied striving soul. In its end, a silent spirit denying life. A dull and infelicitous interlude unrolls its dubious truth to the questioning mind, compelled by the ignorant power to play its part. And again, we have already discussed, he saw a world, from a world to be. There he divined rather than saw or felt, far up upon the rim of consciousness. So it is there. His body gathered into a mystic sleep. Change in him. His body gathered into a mystic sleep, a foreign shape it seemed, a mystic shape. And serious here in the course letter, it is a beautiful, of course, it is a great description. Now, alien now seemed their dim far universe, self and eternity alone were true. Only two things were true, that is self and eternity. Then memory climbed to him from the striving plains, bringing a cry from once loved cherished things, from to which he is representing, from where he is emerging and moving forward. And to the cry to its own lost call, a ray replied from the occult supreme. So, we can find the division here. We can get brilliantly. Two beings he was one. Two beings he was one. Wide and free above. One struggling, bound, intense. Its portion here. Two beings he was one. Wide and free above. Second, one struggling, bound, intense, its portion here. A tie between them still could bridge two walls. There was a dim response, a distant breath. All had not ceased in the unbounded hush. His heart lay somewhere, conscious, alone, far down below him like a lamp in light. So, it is we are on almost in the concluding session. We feel. Here in the course, at the end of the description, we can find, in the center of his vast and fateful trance, halfway between his free and fallen selves, interceding twixt God's day and the mortal's night, accepting worship as its single law, accepting bliss as the sole cause of things, refusing the austere joy which none can share, refusing the calm that lives for calm alone. So his universality is well expressed here. He is now no more bound by the earthly confines, earthly limitation. So he has gone up to that level which really nobody can imagine, unless otherwise he is having that reached that supreme consciousness. Again, her coming, still in the course here, her coming they had asked for earth and men. This was the fairy point that called her now. Extinction could not quench that lonely fire, its sing filled the blank of mind and will. The thought dead, its changeless force abide and grew. So this is the scenario, this is the real thing. And before we conclude, we'll try to summarize the end part, the last part of this description in a very glorious manner. We'll try to find out the secrets towards the end. But the darkness of this world is in ignorance really hides the glorious truth. Darkness in this world in ignorance, that darkness hides the glorious truth to which which shall manifest one day. It has to be manifested one day, but actually it is hidden, and this glorious truth is hidden behind the ignorance. Again, the superconscient grow conscious we find on earth. Asapati regards this world as it is. He sees below in him his own body, and it seems a foreign to him. That shape seems to him foreign because truth is yet to be manifested. But definitely it is the time. It is coming that time. That universe seems far, and only the self and eternity are true. Universe seems far. What about because he has risen out of risen above. The universe seems far, and only the self and eternity are true. But soon the memory of the striving planes climb to him and brings their cry. Everything, because it is the point to be noted here, that he is representing this fallen world, where the cry, the agony of this fallen sphere, actually it brings echo in him, and he is representing all, and he is carrying their agony and all, everything to the greater heights, and he is supposed to get the solution from the Supreme. So a ray of the Supreme response. This is what a ray of the Supreme. He is carrying the cry. A memory quivers in him. He can listen the sound. So a ray of the Supreme response. For there below it is oneness that dwells. So he is getting the response again. In the end part of the beginning, as we can see, two beings at a time. See, he is two beings at a time, low and high, mediating between two worlds. One is high above, and the low below. So representing both, he writes here, two beings he at the same time, one free above, another struggling, bound, intense at below. His heart lies in between the tranced prayer. Two beings, one wide above, second actually struggling, bound below. His heart lies in between the tranced prayer. It lies in mute appeal to the Supreme, refusing the joy of others can't share. It lies in the mute appeal to the Supreme, refusing the joy of others can't share. So all other parts of his being are silent, surrounded with the higher will. So he is seized by the will of the higher will, surrounded to the higher will. Only his heart is affair with the call. Only that, nothing. Only his heart is in affair with the call. No extinction can quench that flame burning higher and higher. It is the great flame, and he is moving in a very interesting manner. He is moving up and up and top and top. So this is the scenario. I have to see. We have to read how Sri Aurobindo concludes in a couple of lines. How this chapter, have this great canto, the excellently is finished up by the master. Again, here in the quotes. It preserved through life's huge emptiness amid the blank denials of the world. Blank denials of the world, to which some moved tranquility is the key. It sent its voiceless prayer to the unknown. It sent its voiceless prayer to the unknown. It listened for the footsteps of its hopes. Sent the voiceless prayer to the unknown, listened for the footsteps of its hopes, returning through the world void immensities. It waited for the fiat of the word. It waited for the fiat of the word that comes through the still self from the Supreme. It waited for the fiat of the word that comes through the still self from the Supreme. So it is a brilliant, naturally brilliant canto. If we go line by line, word by word, we will find the great supramental touch at every period of time while reciting them word for word. That's naturally, because in the next page you will find the vision and the boon. That is a great one, still great one, greater one. Anyway, it is the house of the spirit and the new creation. We begin. I would like to quote that few lines, 5 6 lines again. A new creation from the old shall rise, a knowledge inarticulate find speech. Beauty suppressed burst into paradise bloom, pleasure and pain dive into absolute bliss. A tongueless oracle shall speak at last, the superconscient conscious grow on earth. The eternals wonder, join the dance of time. So, this is the great description, great hope, great dream, and great will, and it is going to be materialized. It is, of course, Sri Aurobindo has done everything. The things that we are promised are fulfilled. The thing is that it is left for us to realize, to know, and to, of course, see, behold it, and in a very luminous way, in the very surrounding of our, in our own vision. Let us wait and let us praise Sri Aurobindo for the final manifestation. Vande Mataram.